Hey guys, it's Dr. Stan Robbins, and today I'm going to talk about 10 popular drugs that kill your testosterone and your libido. And I mention this because when I consult guys about their testosterone, their libido, and just, sex drive issues and so forth, a lot of guys just quickly focus on increasing their testosterone levels, which obviously makes sense. But, in order for you to fix the problem, you first need to know the cause. And, why is your testosterone low? Do you have blood flow problems? Is it why is your sex drive not working? Why do you have erection? All these problems. But again, what what we need to also understand is that there's a lot of drugs that actually cause erectile problems, a lot of common drugs. So I try to tell people, hey, do this and do that and increase this and take this pill and all that. I can't, it doesn't work. I'm not going to rip you off and support, tell you to take my supplements or this and that when you have to first reduce or eliminate the actual problems. Okay. It's like making money. I can tell you how to make more money, but if someone is spending all your money, it's not going to work. So you need to decrease the expenditure, the negatives, and then therefore increase the positives. Now, I mentioned this topic because the other day I was talking to some dude at the gym and he was saying he's got some problems, this and that. And lately he's been taking a lot of just painkillers, Advil, all that stuff because his shoulders hurt and his knee. This guy's like a big 270-pound bodybuilder. And then, one thing led to another. And he just says he's been having erectile problems and so on and so forth. And I said, dude, it's the drugs. All right. He's like, what drugs? Because he takes steroids and all this stuff. And I said, no, it's the Advil. It's the ibuprofen and all that. And he said, why in the world would that cause? And so I'm going to get into that and the other drugs. So let's get started. All right. So the first most popular drugs that people don't even think about are NSAIDs. Basically, this is like ibuprofen and naproxen and so forth. And these are linked to erectile problems. Studies in it was 2011 in the Journal of Urology found that regular NSAIDs, even more than twice a week usage, was associated with 22% increase in erectile dysfunction. Not just erectile problems, erectile dysfunction. Just twice a week. All right, 22% increase. That's a lot. Now, the reason they do that, the reason those drugs, they inhibit prostaglandin production, which plays a role in vasodilation and blood flow. And so what that does is the chronic use also impairs nitric oxide signaling, which again is like how Viagra and those type of drugs work, is it inhibits these prostaglandins. It's good for pain, but obviously not good for blood flow to your penis and getting erections. Now, another painkiller that's not an NSAID, but one you've heard of is acetaminophen, or basically Tylenol. It doesn't work the same as, let's say, ibuprofen, but it also affects the prostaglandin pathway. And it also may reduce testosterone levels. In some studies, in a 2013 study, it said that high dosages might affect the HPGA, basically hypothalamus gonadal axis, and that reduces the production of your testosterone and testicles and all that stuff. Also, liver stress can also cause testosterone problems. A lot of these drugs, again, they work to reduce inflammation, but that inflammation can cause erectile problems. Also, even supplements that reduce inflammation, curcumin extract in high dosages can cause erectile problems. I will make another video about that, but underneath this video in the description here, I can tell you about natural ways to reduce inflammation if you have joint pain and so forth. But for now, NSAIDs and Tylenol and all that stuff is a problem. Now, the next set of problems are blood pressure problems, drugs, and there's a lot of different blood pressure drugs, beta blockers and diuretics and calcium channel blockers and ACE inhibitors. All of these have reduced blood flow or cause erectile problems. Some of them are worse, some of them are a little bit better, but they all are linked to that. Again, there's natural ways to lower your blood pressure. I have links underneath this, but just keep in mind, I'm not telling you to get off these drugs, but if you are on them, just know maybe it's not your fault. All right. Maybe, again, if you can't get off of them, and I totally understand, run it by your doctor. At the very least, you have to now increase your testosterone even more to undo some of the damage that these daily drugs are taking. Another one are antidepressants, and this is well known. SSRI inhibitors, such as what you've heard of them, like the Prozac and the Zolofts and Lexapro and Paxils. These reduce your ability to get erections. They delay orgasms, and they work by increasing the serotonin level, which kind of makes you happy and easygoing, which is fine. But then they unfortunately decrease your dopamine levels, and that's your drive, and that's really related to improvements in your ability to get erections and want to have sex. That's why, in fact, testosterone increases dopamine levels. So low testosterone decreases dopamine. SSRIs do so. I've got a story about that before I go to other ones. I've had women who take like things like Prozac and SSRIs who say, man, my libido shot, but it's fine. They don't really care. And they're not as horny as guys anyhow. And then I know guys who can't get erections because of it, or they just, they don't even have the desire. But again, keep something in mind. These drugs don't even work in like 50% of the clinical study. One of the worst ones out of these is Paxil. Then instead of SSRI inhibitors, serotonin reuptake inhibitors, there's also serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. So it's SNRI. These are stuff like Cymbalta and Effexors. They have similar side effects to SSRIs. There's antidepressant ones that will reduce nerve damage on some of them, or increase nerve damage and therefore reduce blood flow. And then there's the antipsychotic drugs, and those work by increasing prolactin. So for example, Haldol and so forth. They increase prolactin, which then decreases dopamine and therefore decreases testosterone. Again, a lot of anything regarding your mood, your anxiety, your antidepressants, and all that stuff is going to most likely affect your problem, your testosterone, your sex drive. And it happens to a lot of people. These drugs are being prescribed a lot more so to women. So keep that in mind. If your lady's on it, that's another reason maybe she's not as into having sex. Opioids, pain medications, you probably heard of them. These are hardcore. There's oxycodone and hydrocodone and so forth. These suppress testosterone. Again, they're also other painkillers that I mentioned is like sub NSAIDs and Tylenol and so forth. Then there's hormonal medications, things like guys will take finasteride, dutasteride. These are 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. These reduce DHT. Typically, these are used for hair loss, right? Or like Propecia, Proscar, and so forth. They're also used for prostate, and they are problematic. I know a lot of guys who just the smallest dose will cause them, and unfortunately, they're also linked to post. Even like when you get off of these drugs, such as Propecia, there's something called, if you go to propeciahealth.com, they have these, because people, even when they get off the drugs, this lingering effect happens, and that because it creates negative hormonal things, not just with DHT and testosterone, but also things like pregnenolone, allopregnenolone, DHE, and so forth. There's nerve medicines that a lot of older people take, like gabapentin. I know my mom takes, my uncle takes it. Lyrica, these reduce dopamine. Then there's the statin drugs. These are cholesterol-lowering drugs. You probably heard of them, like Lipitor, Zocor, and so forth. These, because they lower cholesterol, I know they say it doesn't affect sex drive, but I've had a lot of clients that I've dealt with say, yes, it lowers sex drive. I figured this out years ago, over 25 years ago, when I had to find a different natural solution for both my parents. My dad was telling me, hey, my drive is gone ever since I started, the statin drugs. And remember, cholesterol is needed to produce all your sex hormones, including testosterone. When you lower it, it's not good. In fact, I'd rather you had high cholesterol, quote unquote, much more so than low cholesterol. You want just have a naturally healthy levels. And again, underneath this video, I've got ways for you to have naturally healthy cholesterol levels without having to rely on drugs. There's H2 blockers. These are acid reflux drugs, such as the Zantac and Tagamet. These are very popular over-the-counter ones, and these can block testosterone and also increase estrogen. And then finally, we have drugs that lower blood sugar. You probably heard one of the most popular ones is metformin glucophage. That can suppress LH, luteinizing hormone, which then decreases testosterone levels and also tends to lower IGF levels, which is needed for muscle. There's also ones called like Actos and Avendia. Those also reduce sex hormone binding globulin. Um, Sadly, I know many people have taken one of these or two or three of these drugs. I have clients all the time who are on these drugs, and I gotta clean them out. I gotta fix them. There's a lot of natural ways. And again, I'm not telling you to get off these drugs. Always speak to your doctor before you do anything. I'm just telling you what I've seen over the past 20, 25, 30 years. I've seen it with a lot of my private clients. Again, there's even if you find natural alternatives, different drugs. Well, instead of this SRI inhibitor, we'll take this other one. They might have less or more of these problems, but the problem is still going to be there because it's a mechanism on action. Just know that your body is not lacking any of these things. Many times your body is just lacking nutrients to help your body improve, whether it's pain or the serotonin reuptake inhibitors, all that stuff. Again, you go to the doctor, you have this problem, and they prescribe you drugs. And they prescribe you drugs that not only have these side effects, they're very addictive. Keep that in mind. Getting off of any of these drugs that I mentioned today, any of them, all of them, in fact, getting off of them immediately will cause a negative rebound effect. And that's why they're so addictive. So if you get off any of these drugs, you have to do so very, very slowly and methodically. Again, speak to your doctor. Don't listen to anything I'm saying. Just something for you to keep in mind. As we get older, of course, people start taking more and more of these drugs. They start doing polypharmacy. Well, I've got blood sugar and I've got blood pressure and I've got cholesterol problems and I have this pain. Oh, I've got acid reflux. And next, you're on 4 or 5 different drugs. And a lot of this stuff is also over the counter. And you think, oh, it's no big deal. It's over the counter. It's fine, but it's not. I've got information underneath this for natural alternatives, diet things you can do. But anyhow, just keep that in mind. Look for alternatives. Don't listen to me. Ask ChatGPT. Go do your own research online. But just know that, okay, that it's not your fault. These drugs are causing problems. So anyhow, if this was helpful, let me know if you want to list other drugs that you're taking and maybe how they affect you underneath in the comment section. Let me know which drugs you guys are taking and how it could have affected you. And by the way, keep one thing in mind. A lot of these drugs can happen almost instantly, the problems, such as when you take SSRIs. I know guys who take Prozac within a couple of weeks. Man, their testosterone or their mood, everything is gone. Their sex drive. Other ones, it's just very slow. Very slow. All of a sudden, 6 months later, I have clients saying, yeah, I just realized I'm really not into sex anymore, this and that. And I ask them like, no, nothing's changed recently. No, nothing. My diet, everything's fine. I'm like, this drug, no, look, I've been on this stuff for like 6, 7 months. I'm like, how were you 6, 7 months ago? Actually, they were good. So keep that in mind. All right. It's not, I'm getting older, it's aging, or it's stress, or it's this. These drugs slowly just chip away at your soul. All right. So with that said, I hope this was helpful. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.